Yo, ever feel like history class was kinda filtered? Get ready. We're about to uncover 10 wild facts they seriously didn't want you to know. Let's dive in. Fact 1. The Antikythera mechanism. A 2,000-year-old computer. Imagine this. In 1901, Greek divers discover some rusty old gears in a shipwreck. No big deal, right? Except, scientists later realized it as basically an ancient analog computer that could predict planetary movements and Olympic events. Made 2,000 years ago. So next time someone flexes their new smartphone, just tell them, bro, ancient Greeks had their own tech flex. Deadass. We still don't fully understand how they made it. Fact 2, the Baghdad battery. Electricity before Edison. A clay jar, an iron rod, a copper tube, some vinegar. What is this? Ancient cocktail? Nope. It's a battery from ancient Iraq that could generate electricity. People back then may have been gold-plating jewelry with electric currents long before modern electricity. Low-key, history only shows us the parts the winners wanted saved. Fact 3. Roman concrete stronger than ours. Ever wonder why Roman buildings like the Pantheon or Colosseum still stand after 2,000 years? But some modern buildings crumble in 50. Their secret, Roman concrete. They mixed volcanic ash, lime and seawater to make concrete that literally gets stronger over time. Modern who? Ancient Romans were built different. Fact 4. Chinese seismograph. Earthquake detector. 1,800 years ago. Picture this. It's the year 132 AD. You're sipping tea in ancient China, and suddenly a machine in the emperor's court signals an earthquake, hundreds of miles away. Yeah, they had a bronze device with dragons and frogs that dropped balls to show the quake west direction. No cap, these guys were tracking Earth's movements without any modern tech. Fact 5. Damascus steel. Legendary blades. If you've ever played Dark Souls or The Witcher, you know what a badass sword looks like. But Damascus steel was the real deal. Swords that could supposedly cut other blades in half, stay sharp forever, and had wavy patterns that looked. The catch? We still don't fully know how they made it. Ancient blacksmiths were flexing hard. Fact 6. Project MK Ultra. Mind control experiments? Okay, let's go darker. In the 1950s-70s, the CIA ran a program to see if they could control people's minds. Yep, LSD, hypnosis, brainwashing, even testing on people without their consent. It's not a conspiracy theory. Declassified documents confirm it. Basically, they were trying to create spies who didn't even know they were spies. Wild, right? Fact 7. Operation Northwoods. Faking attacks on themselves. In 1962, the US military proposed faking attacks on American targets just to blame Cuba and start a war. Like blow up planes, sink ships, and blame Castro. Thankfully, President Kennedy shut it down. But the declassified docs are out there. It's like a Hollywood movie, except real. Fact 8. Project Stargate. Psychic spies. The CIA again, folks. They literally funded programs to train remote viewers, people who claimed they could psychically spy on Soviet military sites from across the world. Did it work? Meh, not really. But they kept funding it for years, just in case the Soviets figured it out first. Cold War paranoia was next level. Fact 9. The Haitian Revolution, a hidden success story. The biggest and most successful slave revolt in history. Haiti. Enslaved people overthrew French colonial rule and created the first independent Black republic. But why don't we learn much about it? Because back then, European empires and the US were terrified other enslaved people would get ideas. So, history books just kinda skipped it. Fact 10. Female Roman warriors lost in history. Think Roman warriors were all men? Nah, fam. Recent evidence shows women fought too, especially in allied or mercenary forces. But male historians back then edited out their stories. Now modern researchers are slowly piecing the truth back together. And yeah, these women were low-key legends. Which one blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments. I'll be checking and replying. And if you're vibing with these stories, hit that follow so you don't miss part 2. Fact 11. Europeans used to eat mummies. Yeah, you read that right. In medieval and even Renaissance Europe, people crushed up Egyptian mummies into powder and ate it as medicine. Why? They thought it had healing powers. So basically, folks back then were casually snacking on dead pharaohs. No cap, probably the weirdest health trend ever. Fact 12, Vikings discovered America before Columbus. Everyone credits Columbus, but Vikings, like Leif Erikson, reached North America around 500 years earlier. They even set up camps in what's now Newfoundland, Canada. But guess what? European history kind of buried that part, so Columbus got all the credit. Yeah, history's PR game is real. Fact 13. Coffee houses were once seen as dangerous. In the 18th century, European coffee houses weren't just chill cafes. They were considered hotbeds of rebellion. People gathered, drank coffee, and plotted political uprisings. It was basically Twitter, but with espresso and wigs. Fact 14. The original marathon was deadly. You know the marathon race, it is based on a Greek soldier who ran a huge distance to deliver a victory message and dropped dead right after. So yeah, every time you sign up for a marathon, you're technically reenacting a historical death run. Wild, right? Fact 15. Queen Elizabeth wears deadly makeup. Queen Elizabeth used a white face paint to keep her skin pale and flawless. Except it contained lead, which slowly poisoned her skin and possibly shortened her life. Beauty industry, old school edition. Fact 16. Samurai were artists. 2 samurai weren't just sword-swinging warriors. They were also poets, calligraphers, and tea masters. So a samurai could literally slice you up, then write you a haiku and serve you tea. Ultimate multitaskers. Fact 17. Ancient Babylon's banking system. Think banking is modern? Nah. Ancient Babylon had a full system of deposits, loans, and even proto-checks. Basically, people thousands of years ago were lining up for loans and paying interest just like we do now. Fact 18. The Great Emu War. Yes, seriously. Okay, technically this was about camels, but here's a bonus. Australia once fought a war against emus, big flightless birds. In the 1930s, emus were wrecking farmland, so the Australian military stepped in and lost. Yeah, modern soldiers with guns got outsmarted by birds. No cap. Fact 19. Da Vinci's lost 3D printer designs. Some historians believe Leonardo da Vinci sketched machines that worked kinda like 3D printers. Centuries before we even had the tech. He never built them, but the dude was so ahead of his time it's honestly scary. Da Vinci, the OG tech visionary. Fact 20, the first video game. Ever before Atari or Mario, there was Tennis for Two, 1958, played on an oscilloscope. It was super simple, just a green blip bouncing back and forth. But people were hooked. Retro gamer dreams, right? Alright, which one blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments. I'll be checking. And if you're vibing with these stories, hit follow so you don't miss part 3. Trust me, it's only getting wilder. Fact 21. The Piri Reis map. Did it show unknown continents? In 1513, Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis drew a world map that showed parts of the Americas and even Antarctica, long before they were officially discovered. What's crazier? He claimed he based it on even older maps we no longer have. This raises huge questions. Did ancient explorers chart the world way before Columbus? Who made those lost maps, and how did they know what they did? This mystery still baffles historians today. Fact 22. Books bound in human skin. Yep, real human skin. In medieval times, and even later, some books, especially medical or legal ones, were bound using human leather, a practice called anthropodermic bibliopegy. Most came from executed criminals or unclaimed bodies. Modern scientists have tested surviving copies and confirmed this creepy history is 100% real. Imagine reading a book that's literally part of someone. Fact 23. Castle toilets emptied. Straight into the moat, medieval castles had garderobes. Basically, toilets that emptied right into the surrounding moat. It wasn't just for convenience. The moat doubled as a gross defense system. Any attacking soldier trying to cross, they had to wade through a literal sewage swamp. Medieval warfare, disgusting but effective. Fact 24. Locked letters. Pre-internet encryption. Before locks, safes, and emails, people secured sensitive letters using folding tricks called letter locking. Only the sender and recipient knew how to open it without breaking the seal. If someone tampered with it, the damage showed. Famous figures like Leonardo da Vinci and Mary, Queen of Scots, used these methods. Proof that data security is an ancient human obsession. Fact 25. The world's first insurance. For risky sea traders, in the 14th century, Venetian and Genoese merchants developed the first formal insurance system. Why? Sending ships on long, dangerous journeys meant pirates, storms, and shipwrecks. By paying insurance fees, they could cover losses and avoid total ruin. This system laid the groundwork for today's massive insurance industry. Proof that even back then, people were stressed about money. 26. Saturnalia, the Romans' wild role. Reversal Festival. Saturnalia was a winter Roman festival where normal rules flipped. Slaves acted like masters. The rich gave gifts to the poor. Gambling was legal, and masked street parties took over. It was basically ancient Rome's version of opposite day. And it inspired many Christmas traditions. So yeah, next time you see wild holiday celebrations, remember, the Romans invented the chaos first. Fact 27. War elephants, the original battle tanks. Hannibal, the legendary Carthaginian general, used elephants in war, and even led them across the snowy Alps to attack Rome. Elephants terrified enemy soldiers, smashed through formations, and worked like giant, living tanks. The brutal truth: many elephants died crossing the mountains, but the sheer shock value made Hannibal's name legendary in military history. Fact 28. Aerial refueling, 1920 style, with ropes and funnels. You might think mid-air refueling is a modern military trick, but nope. Pilots tried it back in the 1920s. Two planes would connect using ropes and funnels. Yes, funnels, to pass fuel mid-flight. One tiny mistake, and boom. Today's systems are high-tech, but the early attempts were pure daredevil madness. Fact 29. The world's first postcard revolutionized communication. In 1869, Austria introduced the first official postcard, and people went nuts over it. Before that, only expensive, formal letters existed. Suddenly, anyone could send a quick, cheap message across the country. Basically, the old-school version of a text or social media post. Fact 30. The largest meteorite ever found. The Hoba meteorite, sitting in Namibia, weighs about 60 tons. What's wild? It didn't explode on impact because it hit Earth at a shallow angle, so it just embedded itself into the ground. Today, it is still sitting there as a massive lump of space metal. Too heavy to move and one of Earth's coolest cosmic relics. All right, which fact totally blew your mind? Drop a comment and tell me which one you want to hear more about. I'll be replying. And if you're loving these crazy stories, hit follow, because part 4 is coming and it's going to get even wilder. Fact 31. The Lost Writings of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great conquered most of the known world. But did you know tons of official reports and chronicles about his campaigns have been lost? Writers followed his army, documenting not just battles, but his personal habits, decisions, and daily life. Today, we only have fragments. Big question: what was in those missing accounts? Were they lost by accident or deliberately erased? We might only know a shadow of the full story. Fact 32. The dark story behind the Great Wall of China. Sure, the Great Wall is an architectural wonder, but behind it lies a brutal truth. Thousands of workers died during its construction. In fact, it's often called the largest mass grave on Earth. Laborers who died on the job were sometimes buried right inside the wall because it was too hard to send their bodies home. So when tourists walk it today, they're literally walking over the bones of forgotten laborers. Fact 33. The world's first chocolate factory. When you think chocolate, you probably picture modern brands, colorful wrappers, mass production. But the first true chocolate factory appeared in 17th century Europe, transforming chocolate from a royal luxury into something regular people could sometimes afford. Basically, this was the start of chocolate going mainstream. And yes, people got addicted fast. Fact 34. Ancient Roman magic curses. Archaeologists have found loads of small lead tablets from ancient Rome, covered in tiny, cryptic writing. These were curse tablets, meant to call down harm on enemies, rivals, or even ex-lovers. People tossed them into wells or rivers, hoping the gods would intervene. Basically, ancient Rome had its own DIY version of black magic. Fact 35. The Mongol army's surprising organization. The Mongols didn't build the world's largest land empire by brute force alone. Their army was shockingly well organized, divided into units of 10, 100, 1,000, each with clear leaders. They also ran massive spy networks, gathering intel before striking. In a way, Genghis Khan built an information system centuries before the internet. Fact 36. The real life of pirates. Forget the Hollywood image of pirates with parrots, eye patches, and treasure maps. Real pirates operated more like early labor unions. Crews voted on leadership, divided loot fairly, and even had compensation systems for injured members. Basically, pirates were rough, violent, but surprisingly democratic. Fact 37. Baghdad's House of Wisdom, a lost scientific treasure. Medieval Baghdad was one of the world's intellectual centers, home to the legendary House of Wisdom library. When the Mongols invaded and destroyed it, legend says the Tigris River ran black with ink and red with blood. So much ancient science, philosophy, and literature was lost that historians still mourn it as one of history's greatest cultural tragedies. Fact 38. The West's first seismograph. We usually link seismographs with modern science, but in the 18th century, English scientists developed early earthquake detectors using pendulums and weights. These basic devices could sense earth tremors, marking a breakthrough in understanding the planet's movements. Basically, whenever the ground shook, a little piece of metal recorded it. The humble ancestor of today's advanced systems. Fact 39. Easter Island's statues are more than just heads. For years, people thought Easter Island's massive statues were just giant heads. But excavations have revealed they actually have full bodies buried underground. Turns out, the ancient builders created far more complex structures than anyone realized. And we're only now starting to understand the scale of their achievements. Fact 40. The first successful tooth transplants. In the 18th century, French dentists performed the first successful tooth transplants, using teeth pulled from poor people or prisoners and implanting them into the mouths of the wealthy. It was like an early form of dental transplantation. But let's be honest, ethically pretty horrifying. Imagine going to the dentist today and they tell you, "Good news, your donor's from death row." All right, which fact shocked you the most? Drop a comment and tell me which one you want to dive deeper into. I will be replying. And if you're loving these stories, hit follow, because part 5 is coming soon, and it's going to blow your mind. Fact 41. The Lost Books of the Library of Alexandria. The Library of Alexandria was the greatest knowledge center of the ancient world, said to hold hundreds of thousands of scrolls from across Egypt, Greece, India, Persia, and beyond. But how did it vanish? Some blame Julius Caesar's fire, others blame Christian zealots or invading armies. More important, what was lost? Maybe scientific texts or historical records that could have revolutionized modern science. Just imagine, the answers to some of humanity's biggest questions might have been sitting right there, now gone forever. Fact 42. The engineering wonders of Angkor Wat. Angkor Wat in Cambodia is indeed just the largest religious monument on Earth. It was an engineering marvel. With no modern tools, they built massive temples, perfectly aligned with the sun and stars, surrounded by complex irrigation and drainage systems. Today's engineers still study how they managed it. How did a forgotten civilization achieve something so sophisticated, so precise? Fact 43. Viking death. Curses and magic Vikings weren't just warriors. They deeply believed in magic. They carved runes onto bones, stones, and wood to curse enemies or protect themselves. Some of these magical symbols are so complex that even modern scholars struggle to fully decode them. Basically, Viking life was wrapped in layers of belief, ritual, and supernatural thinking that went far beyond the battle axe. Fact 44. Ancient Egyptian medicine was shockingly advanced. Did you know ancient Egyptians performed surgeries? Archaeologists found evidence of skull trepanation, cutting into the skull to treat injuries, detailed medical papyri like the Edwin Smith papyrus, and even surgical tools. They had treatments for fractures, suturing techniques, and post-op care, all thousands of years ahead of their time. Sure, some remedies were weird, hello crocodile dung, but their medical knowledge was no joke. Fact 45. The mysterious story of Stonehenge. Stonehenge is one of the greatest ancient puzzles. Massive stones, some weighing over 20 tons, arranged in precise astronomical alignments. But how were they transported without wheels or metal tools? Some stones came from quarries over 200 kilometers away. To this day, we don't fully know who built it, how they moved the stones, or what its exact purpose was. Temple, calendar, burial ground? Fact 46. Atlantis, legend or lost reality? The legend of Atlantis, a super-advanced civilization swallowed by the sea in a single night, has fascinated humanity for millennia. Some say Plato invented it as a moral lesson. Others believe it's based on real events, like the volcanic destruction of Santorini. Whether it's myth or memory, Atlantis keeps sparking questions. Did a lost civilization really vanish without a trace? Fact 47. The world's first postal system, ancient Persia, under the Achaemenid Empire, created one of the first organized postal systems. According to Herodotus, royal messengers carried letters across vast distances, defying snow, rain, or nightfall. Their motto? Basically, nothing stops the couriers. In short, thousands of years before FedEx or DHL, they nailed express delivery. Fact 48. The Rongo Rongo script. An unsolved mystery. On Easter Island, archaeologists found a mysterious writing system called Rongo Rongo. but no one has successfully deciphered it. Some think it's just decorative symbols. Others believe it's a complete lost language. If cracked, it might completely change our understanding of the island's history and people. For now, it remains one of archaeology's greatest linguistic puzzles. Fact 49. The Nazca Lines, giant designs only visible from the sky. In Peru's Nazca Desert, ancient people carved huge shapes, animals, plants, geometric patterns, directly into the ground, only recognizable from the air. Why? Were they astronomical calendars, religious pathways, or messages to the gods? Nobody knows for sure. The precision, size, and mystery still baffle scientists today, making it one of humanity's most mind-blowing prehistoric achievements. Fact 50. The lost underwater cities. All over the world, archaeologists have found sunken cities beneath the sea, off the coasts of India, Greece, Egypt, and more. Some are thousands of years old, filled with ruins, streets, and temples. Are they clues to ancient climate change, sudden disasters, or civilizations long forgotten? Some even wonder, are these the real Atlantean ruins we've been chasing all along? All right, which of these blew your mind the most? Drop it in the comments. Tell me which one you want me to dive deeper into next. And if you're loving these stories, hit follow, because future episodes are going to get even crazier.